One of the most important features of the neurofeedback brain training that we offer here at BrainXL is that it is based on the measurements of the electrical properties of brain activity, commonly referred to as brainwaves or EEG. The reason that this is an important mechanism of action has to do with the question of why is EEG a better measurement and assessment than something like fMRI or PET scans? And this is actually a good question because many people have heard of fMRIs and PET scans. And so the main difference between EEG and other forms of assessment is that with things like fMRI, PET, SPECT, or CT scans, they only simply measure brain structure, which is size and shape of different brain areas, or their blood and oxygen flow and dynamics. And depending on the technique used, one may actually require the injection of a radioactive dye that attaches to the glucose in the bloodstream that the equipment can then pick up and see how different brain tissue is utilizing glucose. Another one might actually expose people to X-rays. However, regardless of that technique, they only measure the anatomical structure of the brain and do not reveal the full picture of brain function. So for example, if you look at something like blood flow in the brain, more does not always mean good, as can be the case after somebody gets a head injury when parts of brain can actually swell, and that's not a good thing. And this is similar to what happens when you have a bruise that swells after getting a bodily injury. So due to the nature of electrical currents, which are much more sensitive to the activity of neural tissue, as well as being incredibly fast in their transmission, which essentially means no delay between an event that occurs in the brain and the instantaneous ability to read it and pick it up externally with equipment, allows EEG measurements to provide that very important missing piece of information about how neural tissue is firing in real time. So compared to the much slower and less sensitive physics of blood flow and or chemical reactions in the brain, EEG measurements provide the most reliable representation of how brain activity reflects the individual's current cognitive state. So because of this distinct advantage of EEG, reinforcing specific cognitive markers or patterns is done more precisely by pairing the visual and auditory feedback from the screen to the exact timing of their occurrence in the brain. So as can be seen from a sample of one of the games that we use in neurofeedback here on the screen, all of the visual and auditory events of the game are produced exactly in response to specific brainwave activity, which functions as a reinforcement of that activity. Additionally, the fact that measuring EEG brainwaves is the most non-invasive and painless method of assessment that doesn't require the injection of radioactive dyes or exposure to X-rays make it a tool that's accessible to absolutely everybody, regardless of age, medical conditions, or training goals. So please visit our website or click the link in our bio and let us know how we can help you achieve better brain health and performance.